Imagine a state was able to advance its national interest purely by the power of persuasion and influence. Basically, have your competitor do your will. That's essentially what statecraft and warfare has always been about. But we're actually not going to war. It sounds a bit like the mind trick of the Jedis in Star Wars, but it's actually a thing of non-fiction. This book, Subversion, looks at how states can curate and mobilize information networks with the ultimate goal of undermining socio-political consensus or even cohesion of the adversary and yourself. These are decentralized networks of a variety of actors, paid agents, willful pawns, and sometimes useful idiots. And all they try to do is achieve influence. The more subtle, the better. Because when it appears organic, you no longer question why your attitude and potentially even your behavior has changed. This book looks at how statecraft has incorporated lessons that spin doctors have long understood. But not just to change the reputation of a state or a government, but as a means to target the socio-political center of gravity of your adversary or a competitor. I argue that the strategic weaponization of narratives for political ends, affecting the will of real people, and having tangible ripple effects in the real world should be considered an act of war. To this end, I would argue that information war is not just real, it has already begun. After taking you on a journey through the history of influence and psyops, the book looks at 3 case studies in particular: the Arab Spring, Russia, and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. All 3 case studies show how vulnerabilities in the information environment have been exploited to achieve strategic political objectives, i.e. warfare by other means. Russia and the UAE have both followed a similar approach, ripening networks of civil societal activists, think tankers, academics, journalists, media outlets, and ultimately policymakers to change public discourse, mostly legally and within the confines of freedom of speech. They've proven that strategically weaponized narratives can mobilize and demobilize you, civil society. This is why subversion might just be the greatest threat to liberal democracies in the age of hyperconnectivity.